Ed Lane's a great friend to the Sports Buffet podcast. He's in charge down at Southside Sports Media. You can hear ESPNSouthside.com tonight's game with Franklin County and Bassett. Ed will have the call. Ed prognosticates the Piedmont Force each week here on the Sports Buffet. No different this week. We talk Patrick County and Richlands, Pulaski and Magna Vista, Bassett and Franklin County, as well as Martinsville and Halifax. It's Ed Lane on the Sports Buffet podcast. Always fun to talk some Piedmont District football, and I know no man better to cover the whole Piedmont with than Ed Lane. He is with Southside Sports Media. ESPNSouthside.com is where you can hear tonight's game with Franklin County Bassett. Ed, always enjoy the time, and I'm grateful for it as well. Let's get into Franklin County and Bassett. Bassett has been a team that's been very pesky to put away for some big guns this year. I know they've played Christiansburg and JF, but Franklin County has been a very solid team as well, with the AAA loss coming to Woodbridge, I believe, who's got some Division I talent on that team. I'm expecting a good one tonight. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I really think it is. I know you see Franklin County, they're 2-2 on the year, but don't discount that loss or the overtime loss they had 2 weeks ago to Salem up in Salem at Salem Spartans home field. They're a good football team. We had a chance to see their game against Magna Vista last week, and they're what they usually always are. They're physical. They hit you at the point of attack. You know the game plan for Chris Jones' squad. When he walks into your stadium, or when you walk into his, you know that they're going to line up and play smash mouth football. That's a Chris Jones staple, dating back to his days at Rockbridge or at Bath County. That's his modus operandi. Magna Vista is a little smaller up front, but they were able to utilize their speed on a number of occasions. They struggled at times with the run, but they came up with some big plays, namely a fumble with under 2 minutes to go that gave them a chance in Franklin County territory. Magna Vista couldn't capitalize, but I think it really showed me a couple of things. Number one, Franklin County's very athletic squad. Number two, teams that have size and speed might be able to give them fits. Bassett clearly has both of those. I think with the Bengals right now, it's much more mental than physical.
Yeah, you mentioned Franklin County. It's a game. You play it Friday night, but you feel it Saturday morning. You talk about Bassett having both size and speed. This is a team that kind of hit, I don't want to say rock bottom, but they went in the valleys for a little bit, and now it appears that Jay Gilbert has that squad headed back up the mountain. What went, I don't know if wrong is a proper word, but what got this team down, and what's getting this team back up?
Well, I think for so long, they became synonymous with Brandon Dillard, who went to Virginia Tech, Boo Woods, who was a phenomenal quarterback, of course, Andrew Miller, who has the tougher task, I guess, recently, but still the high-profile task of snapping to a guy you saw much of, Logan Thomas. Andrew Miller is the center of Virginia Tech. They have a great deal of talent that left. Add on to it the fact that many people forget that Joe Favero was the defensive coordinator before he took over at Magna Vista back at the start of the 2008 season. They suffered a high number of attrition, and I think the attitude started to slip there. They saw that Magna Vista, the cross-county rival, was on the up and up. They were going through a down spell, and you're dealing with 16, 17, 18-year-olds. The confidence can fluctuate so much more than it does as you grow up and just have those extra years of perspective. I think a lot of that is what happened, and I think for Jake Gilbert right now, last year's type of team, they were in these ball games where at halftime they're down 7, or in the middle of the second quarter they're up and they let the lead slip away early in the third quarter and they mail it in. That's not the case this year. There clearly is a level of fight. I thought McKenzie Lawson, their quarterback, had a real interesting point after their loss to Christiansburg, saying, we can really feel how close we are to finally turning the corner. And that says a lot, because for a program that has been lacking confidence and had been lacking the ability to bounce back over the last couple of years, they've had 3 straight losses. Patrick Henry, they're down 7 at half, kick return for a touchdown to start the second half. And they still kept fighting, even though they were lost by 28. They led Jefferson Forest entering the fourth quarter, and they had a chance to take the lead late against Christiansburg. They couldn't seal the deal, but this is a Bassett team who I think mentally is much stronger than they've been in the last couple of years, and that's why I think everyone says they're right at the door for being able to start winning these ball games.
Ed Lane's my guest on the Sports Buffet podcast, Southside Sports Media. He'll have the call tonight with Franklin County and Bassett. Ed, moving on, we talk about Magna Vista, who Franklin County played last Friday night, and I was on your show on Friday and said I really wouldn't want to be Patrick County, who's Richlands' opponent. We'll get to them in a moment, but Magna Vista might be catching Pulaski at the right time, because Pulaski got the big win over Richlands last week at Kenneth J. Dobson Stadium down there in Pulaski County. But, you know, Pulaski maybe come in a little still feeling that win against Richlands. Meanwhile, Magna Vista, you could argue they feel like they had one get away last week.
Yeah, they really did, Bob. I mean, look, Franklin County's a good team. They run for over 200 yards again, and they have a good size advantage. Franklin County executed when they needed to. They came up with 2 blocked extra points and a kick return, 96 yards for a touchdown from Carlton Adams. Franklin County is a very talented team, but Magna Vista had their chances. You know, it's very rare you see those types of late game situations where you may get the ball back with 20 seconds, you burn your timeouts, and you're just hoping to get one last chance, and you think, hey, I'd really love to force that turnover right here. Well, for Magna Vista, it happened last week. They had Franklin County at midfield. Franklin County was on a running play, which was a second down run, would have made Magna Vista burn their last timeout with about a minute and a half to go, and they fumbled the football. Christian Witcher had been phenomenal for the Eagles, coughed it up, and if you told Joe Favero that you would have the ball, 1st and 10, Franklin County 48, under 2 minutes to go with a timeout, and you're down by 3 on the road at a AAA school, you take it every time. But they had a quick pass play, they get out of bounds, next play, quarterback gets sacked, and they ended up throwing another pass play where the receiver couldn't get out of bounds, and the clock ends up running off. Joe Favero really pointed to that sequence of events as a learning opportunity for his team. It's a young squad, 16 starters gone. They've never really been in that type of late-game crunch time situation. It's why you play a team like Franklin County, but Magna Vista, Bob, you're right, clearly feels like they let a golden opportunity to steal a big road win slip out of their hands last week.
You know, getting on to that point, Ed, and we talk about it, does this help Magna Vista win a game maybe in the late parts of the Piedmont District, just because, like you said, it was a learning experience last week?
Yeah, I really think it does, Bob. I had a chance to speak before the game just with Coach Favero on the field, and he was looking around at Franklin County, Cy Dillon Stadium, as I'm sure you know, a pretty big venue, and he said, to me, he said, this is why I want our guys to come up here. I know we're still young. It's been one of the more difficult, time-consuming off seasons that I've had. This is what Favero said, because he had so many young guys he had to put in. But he said, even though Franklin County on paper ought to be a favorite, I want our guys to experience what it's like playing in a big stadium against a school that's a little bit larger than we are enrollment-wise, and understanding those pressures. And he's thinking down the road for when they have to go to Ed Bassett Stadium for the Smith River Shootout, final game of the regular season. Lord knows what awaits them in the playoffs from either the Southwest or the River Ridge District, and perhaps even further. His mindset was, I want our guys to play a tough team and play them on the road in a big game atmosphere in a big stadium, so we know what it's like to handle that situation. I think coming that close in that type of a spot is exactly why so many coaches, Bob, subscribe to the theory of trying to play up early in the year so their guys are prepared come late October and November.
Ed Lane, Southside Sports Media, joins me on the Sports Buffet podcast. Go to ESPNSouthside.com tonight. You can hear Franklin County and Bassett. Ed, Richlands is going to come in like a hornet's nest, I'm sure, to Patrick County. I hate to be negative, but it might be a long night for the Cougars. Give me a way that it's not a long night for the Cougars.
I think if Trey Penn can get going early with Demetrius Dillard, the quarterback-receiver combination, it'll at least give Patrick County something that they can take positively from this. Kenny Perry said that we have to focus on playing our game, and I don't think he's conceding defeat by any means, Bob. No good coach is going to do that. Kenny Perry knows the mountain that he has to climb is pretty steep at Patrick County, but I think realistically he's teaching his guys and helping them understand, look, you know what Richlands brings. They're a very great program. They have a rich history of what they've done on the gridiron, even over the last decade. Patrick County, just to be honest, does not have that type of a history, and is not at that level right now. if we focus on what we can do, we can still find ways to get better. I think for Patrick County, the one thing they're focusing on is starting better and starting off with the right frame of mindset. It's a mental adjustment for these guys. They've been blown out so much in the past that they don't know what it's like to be in a ball game early on in the course of a contest. I don't see them being Richlands tonight. I don't want to be negative, but I think if you're Patrick County, get the passing game with Trey Penn and Demetrius Diller going, and at least eliminate mistakes. Make Patrick County or make Richlands beat you because they're just more experienced and know how to handle those situations better than you do. You can at least take that and learn from it.
16, 17, 18-year-old kids, I think the hardest part with them is not what they can do physically, but getting them changed around mentally. You talk about Patrick County has got to change a culture, which is used to losses, to get it over to used to wins. How do you do that? I mean, I look at it and, I just say kind of what you were talking about of they're not in some of these games late. Let's win the first quarter. Let's try to win the first half of the second quarter. If things go south, at least we got momentum we can build on type of thing.
Yeah, I think for Patrick County, you have to focus on you first. Mm-hmm. They've made so many self-inflicted mistakes, from penalties to emotions getting the best of them to turnovers to drop balls, blown coverages. Focus on your ability. If you get beat because the other guy has more years of experience or is physically stronger because they're in a program and they've been in the weight room longer, that's one thing. You can work on correcting that in the off season. You can take those steps, and Patrick County has some youth on this squad. I think for Patrick County, it starts with not beating yourself first. They're probably going to lose a lot of ball games, but if over the course of your year, your losses are more because you play hard, you play smart, but you just can't keep up physically, and you're not at the level of understanding how broad the playbook can be mentally, those are correctable things in the off season. Effort is number one. I think we've seen that for Patrick County. I think the second thing is take the steps to not beat yourself. Make the mistakes. If you're going to make some mistakes. You may make a bad pass. You may jump. You may be over aggressive. Those are acceptable mistakes. But the mental mistakes, the ones where you should know better, I think those are the ones you have to start by weeding out.
Gets no easier in the next 2 weeks either with Radford and Magna Vista, but we'll get to that later on. Ed Lane, Southside Sports Media, the king. Easy Ed joins me here on the Sports Buffet. Always great to have him join us. Last game that we look at, Ed, Halifax County and Martinsville, two teams that are kind of going through maybe a transitional stage. Halifax County, new coach Mike Rourke down there. Martinsville having a coach getting ready to go out in Bobby Dalton. What do you see out of this matchup?
Oh, this is probably the most unpredictable one, and I think we have a lot of up-in-the-air ones tonight. It's really, aside from Richlands, Patrick County, I think the other ones can all go each way. I think for me, it's always tougher to predict teams that are struggling because you don't know where they are where their confidence is, and where they are mentally as far as growing. This is, to me, is probably the toughest one. I think of all the ball games, Magna Vista and Pulaski have proven they're battle tested. Franklin County and Bassett have proven they can stick around for 4 quarters. I think you're going to see that from those two. But Halifax Martinsville, I think for this ball game, you need to see something from each team in the first quarter, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Martinsville, Brandon Carter has struggled more than expected with T. Wade's offensive system, as Coach Wade is now the offensive coordinator. I think we've also seen that Halifax has had their struggles early, committing turnovers. I think both teams need to try to win the first quarter and even the first half offensively. We've seen good defense out of them. It's just worn down. Try to win the first half of the ball game offensively, and I think in a lot of ball games like this, special teams can be a major X factor. Cade Springer returned a punt for a score. Liberty did the same thing on a kickoff against Martinsville last week. That's a big area of emphasis, especially in a contest that could go either way like this.
Always something going on, Ed. We appreciate your time. We'll keep up to date with Southside Sports Media, which you can find on Facebook, and right now you can still go to ESPNSouthside.com and get all the best from the man, the king, Ed Lane. Always appreciate the time, Ed.
Anytime. Thank you.